Hi, welcome to my podcast, Talking Travel with Wendy. I travel the globe interviewing really cool people in small hospitality and tourism businesses. Join me each week as I discover and share something or someone new with you. You can find more at www.travelwithwendy.net. And remember, it's always an adventure when you travel with Wendy. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I want to tell you about another stop we had on our 2021 summer cross-country road trip adventure. This time it was Amarillo, Texas. It has an amazing state park right in the Panhandle, the Palo Duro Canyon. With days ahead on our journey, an overnight stay in a tiny house AirBnb and a hike in this canyon was absolutely going to be a highlight for our journey. Join me today as I share my itinerary and hike in one of Texas's most beautiful spots and the second largest canyon in America. Hiking in July in Texas might not be your idea of fun, but I have a warped sense of adventure. So as soon as we saw the chasm and the natural beauty of this park, I knew I'd be hiking a trail. Yeah, it was mega hot and I live in Alabama, but I was going to do it. I didn't really have to talk my friend Melissa into it either. She lives in Colorado now and hikes all the time. She says it's not always perfect conditions there either, but it's definitely gorgeous. After leaving Santa Fe, New Mexico, check out my podcast last week on that, we made our way to Texas and stopped in Tucumcari first. We stopped along the historic Route 66. We were making great timing, so we decided to catch a bite of lunch and check things out. If you've ever seen the movie from Disney, Cars, Port Route 66 reminded me of the forgotten but once great tourist destination of Route 66. I think this route had already been hurting locally from a depressed economy and was devastated even more by COVID. It really broke my heart. Businesses were barely hanging on there. We found a place to eat, Dell's Restaurant. As a practicing vegan vegetarian and stopping for a bite in America's Southwest, I knew it was going to be a challenge to find anything remotely green, and I was right. But when in Rome, do what the Romans do. I enjoyed my only non-vegetarian meal of the trip. It was a beef burrito with beans and a rice combo, and you can't win them all, right? Dell's also had a pretty cool souvenir gift shop, so after we picked up a few things, we headed back on the road and made our way to Texas. After a very nice stop in Tucumcari, we still had a few hours to make it to Palo Duro by early afternoon. I purchased a day pass for the Canyon Park online a few months before. It was super easy, and what I found out was that they sell a certain number of park tickets, and once the limit is met, then they close the park off to daily passes. Here's what you need to know before you go to the Canyon and State Park. You may get lucky and just drive up to the entrance to the park and get a day pass, but in case you have lived under a rock during COVID, you know that hiking and outdoor recreation has increased 60%. Yes, people are getting back to nature, and when they travel, they add hiking, kayaking, cycling, rock climbing, and more to their itineraries. I wanted to make sure we were all set, so I booked our day pass online easily and effectively. Printed out our tickets and screenshot them also so that I could have them on my phone. It was super easy. I've included the links in the description today. Here's what happened when we decided to hike in the park. We grabbed a few shots along the ridge, which is really beautiful, and we made our way to the Paseo del Rio Trail in the valley of the canyon. The hiking map is easy to download and carry with you, and I've also included that in the descriptions. This trail touted that it was just an hour out and back, and it also included the cowboy route that was taken during the 1800s. Everything was listed on the trailhead as well. We made sure we carried water in our packs, and we carried poles as well. When you're hiking in the heat and summer in the south, it's super important to carry poles. This is a tip that I really love to share. Snakes don't like motion or noise, and neither do other critters. We didn't see any snakes. We did see a snake skin though, so I'm not going to lie, it was hot, hot, hot. And also, if you talk a lot while you're on the trail, which has never been a challenge for me, you keep away the critters and the snakes. So after our hike out and back, we hopped in the car and we decided to drive around the park and sit in the AC of our car. If we had more time, we would definitely have investigated more trails. Now I want to share some news about what's going on with Travel with Wendy. For over a half dozen years now, I've been bringing you information, travel tips, and resources from all my travels around the globe. Beginning in 2022, I'll be adding another travel service, and that's Travel Agent and Advisor. I can now book your travel as well as help inspire you. Beginning in January 2022, I'll be offering travel packages for you too. Be sure to sign up for my newsletter because subscribers will get the news first. Have you ever wondered why people use a travel agent? Well, it's because we have access to constantly changing travel information on a daily basis, sometimes hour by hour. Not everyone enjoys researching and keeping up to the minute travel information for their planning. That's what advisors do. We have insights and connections and deals that aren't always available through Google or a search engine. If you want to travel but can't keep up with the changes, requirements, and restrictions like what's happening with COVID, then maybe I can help. For a small fee that covers my time and research, I can take care of your travel needs, and you can just enjoy. Whether it's a cruise, visiting Europe, or sitting on the beach at an all-inclusive resort in the Caribbean, I got you covered. So I'm excited to add this service to Travel with Wendy. I'll share more information with you after the new year. Now, back to the podcast. If you've considered camping at the state parks around America, then you are like many, many people who, over the last year and a half, have decided to start camping too. Palo Duro State Park is no exception. Camping has increased exponentially, and I'm going to include the link below, but RV sales in 2021 have skyrocketed. They're still going crazy too. While we were at Palo Duro, we drove through several of their campsites. Although we didn't camp at the park, we were very close to it in our tiny house Airbnb overlooking the canyon. I'm going to include the links to the Airbnb also in the description. There are several campsites in the park that have electricity and water. There's restrooms with showers that are available too, whether you want to stay primitive or you want to stay with a campsite in your camper. Their website indicates that peak season for camping at Palo Duro is from January 1st to December 31st, which I thought was pretty funny because that means all year long. So, as you can see, the park is always busy. Let me tell you a little bit about our tiny house, Airbnb. Our Airbnb was called the Lone Star Mini Cabin at Palo Duro Canyon Rim. And again, the description below. It was along the ridge at the park entrance. It was part of a campground and attraction site, and this brilliant place had incredible views and a beautiful sunset. Staying at an Airbnb definitely has its advantages. I was also ready to do a little bit of cooking for ourselves. With as many meals we have on the road, I was ready to just start cooking. We hopped in the car and we made a short trip to a local grocery store. We grabbed a few vegetarian options and grilled out on the porch. Cherie is a perfect host, and she had everything we needed at the tiny house. A small kitchenette, a microwave, refrigerator, coffee maker, corkscrew, haha. What else do we need, right? Her communication with me was spot on too. This was a lovely, lovely stay. If you want more information, check out the blog and the vlog for this podcast. So here's a travel tip. When you plan a road trip, alternate your stays in Airbnbs or VRBOs to have control over your food costs and menu as well. Okay, so that was our little overnight stay in Palo Duro Canyon. It was absolutely beautiful. The pictures were amazing. Definitely check out more in the blog and the vlog. So after a peaceful night's sleep, we rose for some coffee and breakfast bars, and we hit the road early. We were determined to get to the Wichita Mountains Wildlife Refuge at a decent hour in Oklahoma. We still had 3 hours to go from the Palo Duro Canyon to Oklahoma, and we still had a few more overnights on this cross-country journey. There's so much to explore in Texas. My Texan friends have assured me that we have not even seen the most gorgeous part of Texas. It's hard to imagine because this breathtaking canyon and state is unforgettable and left an indelible imprint on our hearts. Be sure to join us next week. Thanks so much for joining me today. My podcast helps support small businesses and share authentic experiences around the globe. Remember to like, follow, and share my podcast. I'm also on Facebook and YouTube. If you're interested in traveling the world, check out my website, travelwithwendy.net. Thanks for listening today, and remember, it's always an adventure when you travel with Wendy.